The Iowa Hawkeyes crush Minnesota, leading 31-0 at the half. At the half. And winning 41-3. I'm a little bit speechless here because I can vividly remember how out of control it got within the first few minutes of the game. It was that bad. I don't know if all of you watched it live. I imagine if you were an Iowa or Minnesota fan, you did. And I know that several other analysts, based on my Twitter feed or some YouTube videos that I scrolled through briefly this morning. Before I continue, liking the video, watching the video all the way through, and commenting your thoughts down below are the best ways to support the channel, as they help push me into the algorithm, help me to receive a larger paycheck that I can use to reinvest in producing elite analysis for you all. Subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, sharing the video around, and supporting us in other ways that you can find out via the description are other awesome ways to support our operation at College Football with Sam. We are becoming the best. We want to be the best. Thank you all for making that possible. I know they saw it too, but you needed to watch that first quarter in its entirety, as I did, to understand how devastating that was for Minnesota. So Iowa, first things first, goes on a 75-yard touchdown drive where Gronowski runs it in. And the hilarious thing was, when I saw the touchdown and then checked on ESPN to see the win probability and the metrics, because I like that stuff, Iowa live betting went up to minus 15.5 after one touchdown drive. Now, in some cases, I understand that, because if you allow Iowa to have that methodical of a touchdown drive where they're balanced in passing and running, and they're dominating on the lines of scrimmage with how their defense is played, that's not a good sign. But jumping up by 8 points, I thought was maybe a bit extreme. So I thought to myself, okay, people are probably really confident Iowa entering this game, or knew something that the general public didn't know from their perspective, and now they're hammering this. And Iowa then gets another drive after a punt, goes down, kicks a field goal, it's 10-0. The live betting, I think, jumped up to minus 18.5. Or I think it may have even been like minus 22.5. And that was before the pick six, or maybe it was after. Then, one play, Zach Lutmer reads Drake Lindsey's eyes like a book, picks him off, returns it for 6. 17-0, 2:57 left in the first quarter, and yet it's game over. Already game over. That was as bad of a Minnesota loss as I've seen in forever under Fleck. It was worse than the loss to Ohio State this year, because you made Iowa look like Ohio State, and I don't think Iowa is Ohio State. It was worse than the loss to Michigan in 2023, because that team won it all. They were 15-0, and they didn't return as many quality players as I think this Minnesota team did from the prior year. And again, like that Michigan team and this year's Ohio State team, they're national title contenders. Michigan won it all. Ohio State's favored to win it all. Iowa needs to win out to even sniff the college football playoff. And then you have the Reese Vanderzee 30-yard pass where Gronowski threw a beautiful ball. Vanderzee catches it with a contested catch. That was the ultimate symbol of humiliation. To have Mark Gronowski have a successful game through the air when it was non-garbage time in the first half. And also for the Iowa abusing Drake Lindsey. I think they had like 4 or 5 sacks on the day. Yeah, they had 4 sacks, 9 TFLs. Minnesota finished the game with 24 rushing yards, and before garbage time they had negative rushing yards. And then you have the Caden Wheatgen 50-yard punt return, which it was obvious he was going to return it after he spun out of that first tackle attempt. It's, oh, he's gone. 31-0 with 11:23 left in the second quarter in an Iowa football game is insane. And if you're an Iowa fan, This is what you are with competent offense. Not great, because this Iowa offense, unless they are really scripting things and they're trying their hardest to win, you saw what Iowa did offensively after they got up by enough points. When they ran their basic offense, they couldn't do anything because they have limitations, severe ones. But when you have a competent, good OC in Tim Lester, you finally have good players there. Your O-line is being tended to in the proper manner. It's not being forced to run basic, obvious things that don't fit its strengths like Kirk Ferentz forced them to. And Phil Parker's defense has returned to its 2021 through 2023 level despite losing all of that talent. This is what you are. You can bully teams into submission. You can create scaling issues for your average opponent and run away with it. Iowa, in my book, is a top 20 team. They were a top 25 team entering this game for me, but how they played and dominated here showed me, oh boy, like, wow. They can put pedal to the metal against some of these Big Ten teams. And keep in mind, I made the Ohio State-Iowa comparison already. Ohio State's much better than Iowa. Don't get this mistaken. But the fact that Ohio State beats Minnesota 45-3, Iowa wins 41-3. Iowa beats Wisconsin on the road 37-0. Ohio State does 34-0. The fact that they're even in the similar scoring margin category against common opponents that Ohio State is nuts. That shouldn't be possible. And that is a credit to this Iowa staff. Kirk Ferentz is as old as my grandparents. He has been around for ages. And yet, while in some aspects the game has passed him by, and he is certainly a late adapter and not an early one, I think that he has adapted to the game quite well. And some of the things that he's been stubborn about, such as prioritizing defense and special teams, but adapting just enough on offense to make it competent, I think that actually plays well into the current meta, where possessions are limited, making key decisions and being disciplined is more important now than ever. The sport has flattened to a certain degree in talent. Those are all advantages and all pluses for Iowa and minuses for so many other teams. Complete dominance by the Hawkeyes. Minnesota has now had 3 ugly losses. Ohio State I don't really count all that much as ugly because I expected that, and Ohio State's just that good. But still losing, it was 42-3, not 45-3. I guess in my mind I thought Jaden Fielding could make a 50-plus yard field goal. He can't, for whatever reason. But 42-3, you kind of expected that, but still, given how after the first drive they couldn't do anything, obviously if you're Minnesota, you want to show more fight than that. Cal is mediocre. You had no business losing that game, and you did. And Iowa, you could play that game 1,000 times, and Iowa wins every single one of those. It was a bad matchup for Minnesota. We identified that. I thought Iowa would simply win by 10, 17 points, maybe by 3 possessions. I did not think they would win by 38 points and lead 31-0 at the half. That was crazy. And if only some of you could have been in like a stadium with me watching that game, you all could have felt the emotions and the momentum flip that happened within the first few minutes. Minnesota, look, they can beat Michigan State. They should this Saturday, but it's not going to be a guaranteed win because I don't think they're all that much better than Michigan State. At Oregon Friday night, that's an auto L probably. At Northwestern is going to be tough. Wisconsin should be a win, but given the caliber of team Minnesota is, that could also be a loss. There's a realistic world where Minnesota wins out, except for the Oregon game, but also a world where they lose out. I still think as of right now, this has overall been a coaching plus season for PJ Fleck, but it can quickly turn into one that's pretty sour, especially given they return Coy Parrish, their entire defensive line. They return Darius Taylor. Drake Lindsey clearly has upside, and they upgraded at receiver. And yet they're staring down the barrel of potentially 5-7 or 6-6. And if you take out the FCS game, they have a negative point differential in games against FBS opponents, a pretty severe negative point differential. A lot of things to work on for Minnesota. For Iowa, they get a bye this week before hosting Oregon. Likely be a afternoon 2:30 p.m. Central Time or late morning 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff is likely what that'll be. It'll either be on Big Noon or CBS, I think. Hopefully it's a night game. I think that's best to show us more of what Oregon is and also get the best out of Iowa, and it would make it for a better game. But either or, it's going to be a tough task for Oregon and Iowa. Iowa can win that game. They shouldn't be favored. They won't be favored. But can they win? Yes, they can win. Oregon does not have the depth or quality at receiver or quarterback that Ohio State or Indiana does. They don't have the coaching of Indiana. So given that and what we know of Iowa now, they can win that game. And if they win that game, who's to say they can't beat USC, Michigan State, and Nebraska and win out? If they do, that team is in the playoffs with the win over Oregon and USC, on top of playing Indiana close, and Iowa State would be the bad loss, but it is what it is. 8-1 in the Big Ten, 10-2 overall gets you in the playoffs. Their playoff hopes are alive. Would I pick them to go? With the Oregon and USC stretch, probably not. You're probably dropping one of those games, and Nebraska's good enough to do some damage. But the fact they're in this conversation is a credit to Coach Ferentz and Phil Parker and Tim Lester for doing all that they do, and the assistants too. Iowa is among one of the best conditioned programs in the country. And this year has been probably the best reflection of that since the 2022 or 2023 season, where the offense was just horrific, but the defense was strong and always held its own against the better teams. Huge win for Iowa. Terrible loss, devastating loss for the Minnesota Golden Gophers. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure, if you haven't already, to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment your analysis and thoughts down below so I can reciprocate my thoughts with you in the comment section, and check out anything on these end screens that are up here. Whether it's a recommended video or playlists for teams that I'm talking about in a preview, prediction, or a reaction, make sure to hit the notification bell on those, scroll through them, and watch any suggested videos if you are interested. Thank you for helping College Football with Sam become the best and the biggest college football brand and channel on YouTube and other social media platforms. We will reach that one day because of your support.